Good afternoon if you're in Europe. Good evening if you're further to the east, and good morning if you're tuning in from the same time zone as me. Welcome from sunny and cold Chicago, and from what do I?
Sunny and warm.
Yeah.
Europe,
Yeah.
everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. Welcome back to the Dairy Cafe, Vesper's bi-weekly effort to keep you updated on everything that's happening in dairy. And there's a lot happening, not only in dairy but around the world. Some of it's had its effect on dairy. Some of it is caused just by dairy itself or by the people in there. So I'm really happy to be back on this call with Vesper's analyst Jasper and the head of marketplace Seb to discuss everything that's going on. Today's broadcast will be a combination of a general market update and, of course, the promised deep dive into the US. I think the US has been probably the more volatile region. Can I say that at this point in time? Well, Europe's also been trying hard to keep track.
On average, over the past months, you're right.
Oh yes, US takes the throne there. I don't know if anyone's happy with that. What do you have coming for us today, Jasper? What are we going to discuss?
Yeah, as you mentioned, general market update. I think it's been a while since we actually split it up into a general one and a topic.
I think every week we do a bit of a general update. But this one is going to be particularly interesting.
Yeah, we weren't going to talk necessarily about some of the European markets, but they have been moving somewhat over the past
thing is
few
that
days.
every week we say to each other, let's not talk about butter this week, or let's not talk about skin. But every time we come back on it, something happens, and
we really try.
I promise you, we do our best. But I think the people that are listening want to hear about butter.
Yeah, I think so too. So that's why we're going to cover butter, a bit on skimmed. Well, as I mentioned, the general market update, more of a global overview, butter, skimmed, and a bit on cheese. Yeah. And then we move on to the US. I think in the US there's plenty going on. Yes, very volatile fag. Don't worry, you're saying the right thing.
In and outside of the dairy.
Exactly.
Going on.
In and outside dairy, there's plenty that's been going on. But I think for the most part, we have seen some, I wouldn't say unexpected moves, because so far what's been going on in the US has been relatively, it could be seen a few months ago if you already look at the data properly. But the reaction that followed was much more volatile and excessive than many had thought, including me.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think this is where we start with the general market update. We weren't going to talk about it, but that's
the trouble child.
European butter price, which dropped heavily this week. We saw that Monday and Tuesday trades actually still took place around 4.7 if there were trades.
Mm-hmm.
And then it dropped to prices, at least the latest prices we saw were as low as 4.3. So it really had a big fall.
Yeah.
And on average.
It started last week, actually. Like end of last week, we started seeing a bit of, the turn happening around, let's say, Thursday to Friday. I think just a lot less buyers coming in the market. And then suddenly, after there was a couple events last week, and after that, I think when people came home, they were like, well, I think we have a bit of stocks. I think we might as well start selling.
Yeah.
And Monday, Tuesday were extremely volatile.
Yeah.
And it started, or there's extremely liquid, a lot of volumes going through. That to say, though, mostly trader to trader volume. I think most of the buyers, we're going to talk about it, were covered for Q2, Q3. I think most of them are now looking further even. They're looking at Q4 and Q1. And I think that is basically what also switched, is that a lot of people just realized, well, we have a lot of products and a lot of people are covered.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You're completely right. We have seen that over the past months, buyers start to lock in more volumes for further down the road. When we had prices close to 4,000, slightly higher, slightly lower, it's an incredible butter price. You wouldn't have expected a price like that. I did some historical analysis, or as in I just clicked on the Vesper graphs and had a look at the history for both cream and butter. Cream almost at 12 euros per kg, not a year and a half ago. So let's say 2024, but if exactly a year ago, we were at 7,500 euros per ton for butter in Europe. So the difference is massive. And those lower prices really triggered people to lock in more further ahead. This is a price where buyers were generally happy with. And that's kind of created a situation where, and it's not the first time, where buyers are covered well beyond like what we're seeing in spot markets. And producers, generally still have quite a lot to sell. And also traders have quite a bit to sell.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot of sellers, not many buyers, yeah, you see some of the big volatile movements that we've seen over the past few days.
Yeah.
So yeah, butter price in Europe have dropped significantly. In the US, we have seen a bit of a change, but for the US and the Oceanian markets, best to look at it in dollars. US butter price did fall a little bit as well. It had to do with what happened on the CME call as well, because now it's a different grade of product, as in only fresh product can be sold right now. There was a bit of a switch, so that really pushed up butter prices throughout late Feb. Essentially, what happens is on the CME call, you have like the split. And at the start of March, if I'm correct, you can only sell butter that's produced after December from the year prior.
Is there a reason for it?
That's the technicalities of the CME call.
They just changed. They changed this
That is every year.
specification.
So
It's every year the same thing.
That's every year.
Whenever you arrive at the peak,
Yeah.
or something. Okay.
So in this case, that meant that you suddenly can only sell fresh product, and that has a slightly higher price than all the stored volume. So that was something that changed, but these higher prices weren't really too convincing. So we also saw a bit of a change.
Mhm.
And then Oceanian butter prices, we saw a GDT event that also had higher butter prices. Why? Well, I think we talked about it in our US Weekly last week, FICO. But also the safe haven that Oceania and New Zealand in particular are offering for the world market when it comes to dairy, beef, and some other products. It's just a lot less hassle, a lot less risk, and no risk is something that in today's world people are happily paying a premium
for it. No, completely. No, it's. Well, I mean, you just talked about the GDT. The GDT I felt almost had two faces. It had a face, especially everything coming from Oceania seemed extremely strong.
Yep.
I'm talking about butter here because skim is different. Skim here seems stronger than ever. But butter was directly showing another face with a big decrease as well.
Yep.
And I think it is something that we expected. That's what we said 2 weeks ago. We did believe 2 weeks ago that if you look at fundamentals, butter prices were overvalued. First thing we said is don't rush into anything. I remember that's what we ended last week, especially in those conflicts.
Wait it out.
Exactly, just wait it out a bit. But we also said that GDT is definitely the next one. The GDT is the one to watch, especially with products coming from there. And I feel like it is what happened.
Yeah, I think I can fully agree with anything but one thing, and that's that S&P is actually definitely also rising in these other markets, because what we do see is that if you look at the overall world market of non-fat S&P, we see that the US market is actually leading the pack. We have had a shortage. We're going to talk about it a bit later, but it's definitely an interesting market to track when it comes to milk powder because they're leading. Then is Oceania, also for S&P, just like butter. Oceania, and especially in New Zealand, is in high demand. There's plenty of buyers looking for New Zealand S&P, and that's really creating a big premium compared to European S&P. And that's where, European S&P trades at the lowest price out of these three. That also has to do a little bit with the exchange rate, which sometimes can be quite volatile, but it's helping us this week.
But do you feel like fundamentally we are in a bearish market for skim, or is it purely because we have other markets for different reasons? Because they're both, I think, increasing for different reasons. And you just have Europe just following because we can ask for a premium because we're cheaper anyway, so we might as well increase our prices compared to others.
Yeah, I think you meant to say bullish. I don't believe we're structurally in a very bullish market for S&P. I do believe that the fundamentals have moved significantly since a few months back. We have been seeing exports that are far beyond previous year's levels, but we also see production at well above year before levels. I think it's good to actually look at some numbers here. If we look at, for example, S&P for Germany, this is milk. Milk is excessive. If you look at Germany, for example, we look at the 25 and 2026 numbers. I'll pull up the forecast.
Yeah.
So H2 2025 was far above the previous year, and now the first levels that we already seen for January this year also again, almost 15% above the previous year. But so are exports. I mean, like we already said. Due to the fact that Europe is the cheapest, we're able to export to many countries. I think maybe FICO saw some ships with the Dutch flag on the side, but we've been able to export milk powder to Mexico. So that's a market that never really buys from anyone else but the US.
Yeah, but now with the barrel prices going up, do you think that we can expect the opposite? Us shipping product anywhere because we're the cheapest probably doesn't make sense.
Well, I do think at this point that's still going to be the case. We are a bit lucky as well because the exchange rate has been providing a bit of
favorable.
support recently. So
We're on 115.
yes, 115 at the moment, but I think when we started this, it was at 115.2 or 115.3, and now it's already back at 115.1. So it's definitely a lot of changes happening. But if you compare this to, for example, the end of Jan, we were at 1.2. And now we're as low as 1.15. It really makes Europe, or it enables Europe, because the dollar is getting stronger and the euro is getting slightly weaker, and enables Europe to ask for higher prices without really changing much. So that's why I feel like what you've been saying, Europe is also just benefiting from these other two regions that are moving up a lot in price. New Zealand is being paid a premium for because they are a safe haven generally, and in the case of the US, it's simply not there. So yeah,
Container shortage.
yeah, they're really being pushed up, and as a result, Europe is just basically benefiting from those price increases.
Yeah.
There's one product at the list at the top, Jasper, that we haven't discussed yet. We've discussed butter, we've discussed S&P, but just going off of the green number on the right, for me, the whey side, I see a 31% increase.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So this is only the European price. I'll actually look up the American price as well, which also changed, but not as significantly down. So yes, you can see already that the price level changed a little bit. Overall, we definitely see that and we'll move back to euros for this case. The overall whey demand has been incredible, especially for the higher proteins. It's really pushed up the entire whey spectrum. So if WPC 80 has been moving up, and this 6-month view doesn't justify anything there. The 5-year view justifies all the price increases that you've seen. This pushes up the price for liquid whey concentrate. And whey concentrate in recent months has been the main driver for, and I'll only look at the European price again, has been the driver of whey protein prices as the whole complex. So we've seen that prices go as low as 600. That was only because the whey concentrate was as cheap as it could be. It was almost free, actually. But now we see that because WPC is doing that good, the concentrate, the input costs are higher, so therefore sweet whey prices are moving up. And ever since we had kind of a feeling that this market was stuck based on input cost, everybody was comfortable with very short pipelines, not that much demand. They didn't really buy forward that much. But when problems strike, risks start to increase, people are happy to pay slightly more to avoid some of that risk, and that's what
just
we
to lock
see.
in volumes.
Exactly, it's just a kind of security of supply. Also, the cost price keeps going up because whey protein concentrate keeps going up, and it's really pushing for a more tight whey market. We've definitely seen some players come back to buy, and at the same time, that's also something that we should add. The amount of liquid whey available is limited because we can only produce that much cheese, and then that whey pool is the same. More people produce 80 whenever they can, so the product left for sweet whey, for example, is lower.
So that is definitely a trend that we can expect at least a higher price for whey the coming time.
Absolutely. No, it was really low because the demand wasn't really there. People just delayed their purchases, but now that kind of has switched.
Just due to the WPC 80 prices.
And a bit of risk coming in from what's going on in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So I think your answer, because we've got a second question about this in the chat, whether, of course, which is the golden question, will these price levels remain? So around 1,500 levels, or do we expect a correction there?
I don't foresee a strong correction. However, we do see that in the coming months we will go towards the peak in cheese production for due to the seasonality in Europe, but also due to the seasonality in US. It's kind of difficult to say because it's also really determined by what WPC 80 is going to do. And the higher we move there, the more uncertainty and the more fear there is that we're going to fall down even harder than we've gone up. So I do feel like sweet whey, that kind of the cheap period of everything is traded around cost price, that's behind us. But I also don't feel like we're going to be structurally trading at much higher prices right now. So it's to me, it seems like really a strong correction now that will move down slightly in the future when cheese really
kind of level
up,
but at a higher price that we've seen before.
But 80 is the main driver here.
But I mean, 80, as long as demand doesn't seem like it's slowing down anytime soon, it's going to plateau at those levels at some stage. I'm sure there is a price where demand heavily drops off and alternatives picks up, etc., because nobody wants to buy a yogurt protein at 10 euros, I'm sure. But if we continue this way, probably where we'll end up in a year's time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I really want to talk about the US still, but I do want to comment on we see, really going back to the theory, higher prices trigger less demand and more supply.
Cacao, we've seen it with all commodities.
Exactly, but in the case for protein, something different is also going on. We see a consumer pattern of I want to consume more protein. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to determine what the price elasticity is to increases in protein prices because people really want to consume it. GLP-1, overall kind of hypes, medication. There's
health
so many
trend, etc. Yeah,
there's so many things that are changing in consumer behavior, and at the same time, the supply increases are also incredibly slow. And kind of to add on that, the most interesting one to me, if you compare all these brands that have entered the protein space, they're kind of competing with each other for shelf space, for online marketing. There's so many different things that they're doing to make sure that they gain market share. They're competing each other. It's like a boxing match in certain weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen it with all. Listen, when you have two big companies that are fighting very high like that, so we see it. Do you remember with groceries? At some stage, you had during COVID all those groceries. At some stage you have one winner and then a lot it's just not profitable at some stage. So at some stage what you can expect with a protein is the same thing to happen. You have one or two that are going to be left, and the ones that are losing money, you can't be losing money every year.
No, exactly, and that's going to happen someday, but I think
and alternatives are definitely going to grow as well. I'm sure we'll have more pea protein. I'm sure you will always invent something.
Should we maybe take one question before we transition to the US, because I think we got a question right about this topic. That's the question how we see the evolution of milk protein concentrates versus sweet whey proteins. So like a similar situation.
Yeah.
It's actually an interesting one because the essentially what you would expect, and I think it's great. In this case, we always like to use our price comparison widget where we can actually add to Dairy Cafe. Done. We can start comparing the price of, I think, two in protein levels, at least very comparable prices. Let's go for MPC 85 and for WPC 80 instance, both in Europe. If you look at the spread over the past years, it has never been this big. So like the incentive to reformulate and use milk protein concentrate instead is massive. But
it's just not as functional as either. And I mean, we just said it's such a highly competitive market that if you have a product that's less good as the other ones, you're definitely not going to win.
No.
So I think that's why there's been such a push on WPC 80 because it's so functional. It works really well. It works on all those ingredients, those bars, etc. While MPC isn't, even though it is much cheaper. If it isn't functional, it doesn't lead to a good product. It's just not going to work.
No, I think that's exactly what we're seeing. Now the spread is 9,500 euros a ton. You can buy more than 2 tons of MPC for the same price as you can buy WPC at the moment. And I 100% agree. And imagine launching a brand called Perfect Whey or something that you're not going to be able to switch it out for milk protein because that's how you've done your branding. There's so many different people that have really locked in on whey. Anyone who has flexibility is actively searching for replacement. So Casey Nates, but also MPC should catch a bit more of the demand that falls away from WPC 80 because you might see bars, you might see meals, some functional, or some meals or foods in which you don't strictly need whey.
I agree with that, though. I agree with that.
That will happen, but the vast majority of the entire protein space is still dominated by whey.
No, completely. And I mean, those high prices we've seen for the last years, I think people, and there is such a spread that people that could switch, I think have switched. So it is, I think that spread where we're not going to see close down for the moment. No.
Well, it's interesting because if we look at the US, and I think it's also a good moment to transition. The MPC price in the US is also heavily, of course, both influenced by the skim milk component, but also just in pure pricing, heavily set based off of non-fat multipliers. So. And I think non-fat has been going quite crazy. So I think in the US you'll see that MPC prices have driven up massively and maybe not enough to close the gap as way is crazy. But it's a super volatile market. And maybe as we transition to the US, I would like to take one stat from a webinar we did exactly 1 month ago. And maybe we need to pull up the price first before we start confronting our audience. If we look at the non-fat price, the question we asked 1 month ago in a poll, and are you ready to show us this? And just look at the US there maybe. And if we look at it here, so on the 19th of February, can you maybe scroll back, Jesper, to where we were? We asked you the question, what will happen to the whey price? And the answer we got, and maybe you need to stop sharing your screen for a small second there, Jasper. Yeah. The answer from the audience that we got was this, that out of, and let's not, I think we, I didn't check our own answers, but it was a tricky market. But only 23% saw the price go up, 30% saw it stabilize, and a lot of people, half of us, saw the prices go down. And now, Jasper, if you go back to you sharing your screen, I think we've seen something. We've seen the minority win this bet so far. What's been happening in the US?
Yeah, so the US has definitely seen some price increases, and we're looking at week-on-week changes. Those have been very volatile. But if we look at the overall market compared to a month ago, dry whey's dropped. We've quickly discussed it before already, which is kind of an interesting market. But let's leave that aside. Non-fat definitely moved up further. It's now trading at 182, and I will zoom out again to 5 years. It's almost beating the levels that we saw back in 2022, when we really felt like, okay, these are really, really insanely high levels for non-fat.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the market that has been driving the global space for S&P and non-fat. And if I quickly move to butter, we have seen some changes in recent weeks, but overall, yeah, as I mentioned before, we're still trading at very low levels. So it's really interesting to see how the supply fundamentals, especially on both of these markets, have been moving in completely opposite directions.
Yeah, so what changed?
Yeah, so the thing is, I'm at the wrong, sorry, that's the Dairy Cafe. I'm at the wrong dashboard. If I look at the supply and demand figures and the stock levels, particularly for butter, this is what really also made the butter market catch fire at the start of this year. So we've had the January and also December, November numbers come out over recent months. And interestingly, people weren't really surprised that they were relatively low. But when the January numbers came out, which I know that usually we look at this in pounds, but in this case, we'll look at it in tons to make sure that the rest of the planet is on the same page. If we look at 118,000 tons in January 2025 and 97,000 tons in January 2026, it's like a 17% dip compared to the year before. If we follow the trend, like that's been the case for a while already. We've been trading, or at least stocking, less butter and less butter compared to the years before.
But that probably makes sense, no? Prices dropped so heavily in the last 8 months.
Yeah,
it's especially in the US, and we saw US, exporting. We saw butter coming here in Europe from the US. Yeah, so surely that had an impact on stocks, and something that.
It did, but then I think it's very good to mention, if you look at the surplus of production, we've seen record high production of butter for I think 3 years in a row now in the US. So the amount of milk fat that's produced is a very high, or at least a good driver of the amount of butter that's being produced in the US at the moment. And these are reaching record heights, and we're really talking about a lot of butter. I think the latest January numbers are once again 6% above previous year. So if we take, let's say 2022 was quite a bad year, but we've recovered in 3.3, then 7%, then 0.5, and then 6% growth. It really, really, really shows you that we're growing a lot in butter production.
Yeah, okay, but so where is the butter gone?
Anywhere, and that's the thing. It is consumed domestically because prices were low, and we see a bit more retail demand. It's being shipped to Mexico. It was shipped to Europe. It's shipped to the Middle East. Shipped to South America in some cases. So yes, butter went everywhere, but that's been going on for a while already. So that's why I feel like the change in stock was, the number felt like it was coming out of, not really out of the blue. The 17% felt harsh, but if you look at the export numbers, they were much better for like 6 months already. So there were some indicators that, okay, We've been talking about US butter in the European market or
Yeah,
in the
which
Eastern
is
market since like,
crazy.
summer last year.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's been kind of building already, and I feel like over the past few months we really saw the stock levels shrink, and that's really what triggered that market to move up significantly to the prices where we are right now. And I think the ultimately changed the sharp discount that we saw in butter throughout the start of this year. That's kind of gone now. Actually,
But we still have the discount, right? It's
they're still the cheapest
exactly.
by far.
It's still the cheapest, and I think we also saw a bit of a downturn right now, especially with the war, right? It does seem like more product is going to stay. They're probably still going to produce some, as we just showed, some crazy numbers in terms of milk production, fat production. So I think that those stocks will probably recover quite quickly, especially if exports really take a hit due to those to the petrol price and to the war. But yeah, and what do you believe with skim?
Yeah, so I do believe butter stocks will climb again, and that shouldn't really indeed justify much higher prices than what we're seeing right now. We tested $2 a pound, but I don't really feel like that's a level that we're staying at. Interestingly, for non-fat and skimmed, it's actually the other way around. And rather than record high production, we're seeing lower and lower and lower production. This is actually what triggered kind of a shortage of non-fat and S&P in the US market. And that shortage there kind of trickled down into the rest of the world. Then we had some uncertainty on top, you name it. But the production levels there were actually significantly lower in Q4, especially December was horrible. And now we're seeing that MPC is one of them, but also ultra-filtrated milk and also a lot of fresh products, cheese. They're winning a lot of the milk that is currently being produced in the US. And it's like that finance lesson, you can only spend it once. It would be great if you could produce two products with the same amount of milk, but it's simply not possible. So it's interesting that even though we have a lot more butter produced, there should be a lot of skim milk available. It's not moving into non-fat. I think that's fair to say, and that's really created a different market where people were short on product. There were some deliveries that didn't take place because the product wasn't actually there. And being short on something like non-fat and then having to buy it back, that's exactly what we saw. It's boosted
a big
prices
jump,
to what we see.
And so you
today.
believe that the milk that hasn't gone there, milk mostly has gone cheeses, proteins, some really high valued products probably.
Yeah, a lot of fresh products as well. That's also an important one to say. So it's I mean, the milk doesn't disappear, luckily, but it goes elsewhere in the system. And especially as non-fat wasn't really a highly valorizing product group, we didn't really choose that one first. You'd rather go cheese in a way, and there's plenty of other things you can do. And it's interesting that for example, with the total amount of milk that has a lot higher milk fat content, we have to do butter, AMF, sometimes even whole milk or dry whole milk, just to make sure that the fat moves away. But the protein, we don't have enough.
And going forward, what do you think is going to happen? So of course, we're seeing now skim prices going through the roof. Do you expect their production to maybe pick up again a bit? Especially 2025 prices or production doesn't seem like they're very high, so it probably isn't that hard to beat.
No, I think there's two things that we do expect for now. Seasonally, we're going to go up. So like the production levels here are going to move up for skimmed. That's the case for US. It's also the case for Europe. So seasonally, we'll have a bit more supply right now. And the interesting part is that will, it won't necessarily push down prices in the short term, but will definitely improve the situation a little bit. Anyone who also in Europe might have some production capacity for milk protein powder or S&P will buy some SMC and produce milk powder. So the supply situation should improve a little bit seasonally, but also based on a slightly higher valuation. But I think the other interesting part that comes in later in this year is actually when New Zealand starts its new season. We know that the latest milk powder pricing, especially whole milk, in combination with AMF and S&P, it should trigger a lot of Kiwi farmers to keep producing a lot of milk. And one of their biggest products is S&P, together with whole milk, of course. And that will definitely improve the production side or supply side of milk powder. And it's kind of interesting because the higher we go now, even though today's market is tight, it does create a different situation for
in
the
6
long
months.
term.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
but with the US system, where a lot of the skim milk components will be priced based off of CME non-fat prices or NDPSR for that matter, if you are a producer of NPCs and you've allocated milk away from, let's say, a non-fat stream and you've gone to NPCs, is there an incentive for you in the current market to shift back to non-fat, or do you believe that due to pricing contracts, you might just stick with NPC as, these non-fat prices are actually very favorable to you as well, even if you're doing NPCs?
I fully agree with you. I think there's an additional layer on top. The production capacity of NPC is limited. And I think that's where we're kind of struggling, or at least are struggling with. That's the limit that we're reaching, that suddenly, if milk output stays as high as it is right now, we'll actually have some latest numbers on some regions in, I think tomorrow actually, we have another large surplus of milk again. I'm not going to say easily, but we can't produce much more NPC than we're doing right now. So I feel like with the available skimmed milk or condensed skim, unless we're all going to churn it into ice cream or something different, but I think it's very fair to say that some of it will ultimately end up in non-fat and SMP, but it's not first choice. I think that's kind of an additional layer on your answer, Fike.
Thanks.
Beautiful. I think we come to an end.
We come to an end, definitely.
I would love to speak a bit
31,
longer, but it does go fast. Maybe we should have spent a bit more time on the US, but there was so much going on here in Europe that we did have to, I think, mention it.
Yep.
We might do that one, especially the US, if things happens quite quickly again.
Yeah, I think this is also where FICO and I rewrite our US Weekly on a weekly basis.
Exactly. So you can definitely follow it there.
Yep.
Follow
the new edition is coming, so read that on the platform and then potentially in your email. Maybe Seb will do a cameo at some point to get some time there as well, but we do need to do a little bit of research first. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We'd love to see you back here in 2 weeks' time, where any suggestions on topics are always welcome. But of course, as you have come accustomed to us, we'll also always cover a broad part of the market and anything that's changing. There's enough that can change, so keep track of it. In the meantime, while you're waiting for the next episode, next week marks 2 new reports from Jasper, but this week also marked the cheese report, so which is always a great read, and I'll add a link to that on the platform. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send them, and probably the easiest email just for the 3 of us is seb, S-E-B, @vespertool.com. Any questions are more than welcome, and we'd love to see you back here in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Likewise.